Let's be honest, in today's world, most relationships begin with a ding. One text, one emoji, one missed opportunity, or one perfect message that changes everything. Yes, gentlemen, texting isn't just about words anymore, it's about connection. And if you've ever felt confused, ghosted, or unsure of what to say, don't worry. You're about to learn 3 texting secrets women simply can't resist. These aren't games. These are truths rooted in emotional understanding and masculine clarity. Sacred one, confidence without desperation. You know what confidence sounds like in a text? It's short, it's direct, it's secure. A confident man doesn't text, hey, 3 times in a row. He doesn't ask, are you mad at me every time there's a delay? He respects her space and he knows his worth. Here's the magic. Women don't fall for the guy who chases. They fall for the guy who leads. Your text should say, I'd love to see you Friday. Let me know if that works. That's it. Clean, masculine, no fluff, secret too. Emotional teasing, not pleasing. Women don't want another boring white text. They crave stimulation, mystery, energy. So don't be afraid to tease a little. Say, I just passed a coffee shop that reminded me of you, bold, a little sweet, and probably addicted to caffeine. That's playful, that's charming, that's unforgettable. Flirting isn't about pleasing her constantly, it's about engaging her emotionally, creating tension and letting her lean in. Secret purposeful pauses. Want to know what's underrated in texting? Silence men think fast replies win hearts. But the truth, a purposeful pause creates curiosity. When you wait a bit before replying, not out of strategy, but because you're actually busy living, it signals strength. Women respect a man who has a life, a mission, a schedule. Texting is part of connection, but it should never replace your purpose. When she sees you're not always available, you instantly become more valuable. Music rises gently. So here's the bottom line. If you want to stand out, stop texting like everyone else. Speak like a man of presence. Lead with clarity, tease with confidence, and pause with purpose. Because when you master the message, you don't just get her attention, you earn her admiration. Confident texting is clear and direct, not needy or repetitive. It's the digital version of how a secure man carries himself in real life. When you text with confidence, your words carry energy. They speak volumes without having to shout. You don't over-explain, you don't over-apologize, and you certainly don't send 10 messages when one would do. This kind of communication shows emotional maturity. It shows that you value her time and yours. Let's be real, when someone is constantly double texting, asking, did you get my message? Or saying things like, sorry to bother you again, I was just wondering, it doesn't feel good. It puts pressure on the other person. It's not charming, it's not romantic, it's exhausting. And women can sense that desperation from a mile away. Desperation doesn't attract, it repels. Because the moment you begin texting like you're trying to win approval, you shift from being desirable to being dependent. A confident man knows how to express interest without losing his center. He doesn't play games, but he also doesn't come off as clingy. For example, if he wants to ask a woman out, he says it directly. Would love to take you out for coffee Friday. Let me know if that works. That sentence has strength. It's respectful, it's clear, and it puts the ball in her court without any emotional pressure. No begging, no convincing, no trying to prove his worth. It's an invitation, not a plea. Compare that with someone who texts, I was thinking maybe if you're not too busy, we could possibly hang out sometime soon, but only if you want to, of course. That kind of message is soaked in self-doubt. It feels insecure. Even if the person means well, the message is messy. It creates confusion. And here's the thing, clarity is attractive. When your message is clear, it creates safety. A woman feels like she's dealing with someone who knows what he wants, and that kind of energy is magnetic. Also, repetition is another mistake men often make when they're unsure. If she doesn't reply right away, don't send hey again and again. Trust the space. Let her breathe. Let her respond when she's ready. If you feel the need to keep texting to keep her engaged, you're already losing ground. Confident texting means you're okay with silence. You're not chasing. You're leading. You're showing that your self-worth isn't tied to her reply time. In essence, every confident message carries a silent undertone. I'm enough as I am. That's what women respond to, not the overthinker, not the oversharer, but the man who knows how to say what he means and then get back to his life. When you master the art of clear and direct texting, you stop trying to impress and start making an impact. Women respond to emotionally playful and teasing messages, not generic or bland texts. That's because attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. It's not just what you say, but how you say it that makes her heart skip a beat. Generic messages like, hey, well, what's up, or how was your day, are safe, yes, but they're also forgettable. They don't create excitement, they don't spark curiosity, they don't make her laugh or think or feel anything beyond mild politeness. And in a world where everyone is texting the same things, being emotionally playful sets you apart in the best way. Playfulness taps into the part of a woman's brain that craves adventure, spontaneity, and emotional stimulation. When you tease her, not in a mean-spirited way, but in a fun, flirty way, you invite her into a dynamic back and forth energy that feels alive. It's like a dance. She doesn't just read the message, she feels it. It's light, it's unpredictable, and it's charged with emotional electricity. That's the difference between a man who texts to communicate and a man who texts to connect. Teasing doesn't mean you're mocking her. It means you're challenging her a little in a playful way that shows confidence and charm. You might say something like, I bet you're the type who eats dessert before dinner, rebellious and sweet. That one line already creates an emotional image. It makes her smile. It shows that you see her in a unique light. That's far more compelling than just asking, did you eat yet? When you're playful, you're not afraid to be bold. You can tease her about how long she took to reply with a line like, I was about to file a missing persons report, followed by a wink emoji. It's fun, it's not needy. It tells her you noticed, but you're not upset. You're creating a moment, a spark. And here's the truth, women remember how you make them feel, not how grammatically perfect your texts were. The emotional tone you set is everything. If you're dry, stiff, or overly formal, the conversation dies. But if you inject life, humor, and a bit of edge into your messages, she starts to associate texting you with feeling good. That's powerful. That's attractive. She begins to anticipate your messages. She checks her phone, hoping there's something from you, not because you're the most perfect man, but because you make her feel something real. Bland texts feel like chores, playful ones feel like gifts. That's why emotionally teasing messages work. They invite her into your world, they show you're confident enough to take a few light risks, and they make her want to play along. In the end, it's not about being funny for the sake of humor, it's about creating an emotional rhythm she can't resist joining. Confidence includes giving space and not over-texting. It's about trusting the flow of communication without needing constant reassurance. When a man is truly confident, he doesn't panic if a reply doesn't come right away. He doesn't start crafting back-to-back messages trying to spark a response. Instead, he understands that people have lives, responsibilities, and moods, and this level of emotional control shows a depth of security that's incredibly attractive to women. Over-texting, on the other hand, often comes from a place of fear of being forgotten, ignored, or rejected. It may feel like you're just showing interest, but to the person on the receiving end, it can come across as pressure. Constant notifications, multiple check-ins, or paragraphs sent without a reply all scream one thing: insecurity. It signals that your sense of connection depends on her immediate availability. And nothing pushes someone away faster than that kind of emotional dependence. Confidence thrives in silence. A man who is grounded knows that if a connection is real, it doesn't need to be babysat. He doesn't use texting as a crutch to stay on her radar. Instead, he makes his presence known through quality interactions, not quantity. One well-timed, thoughtful message will always have more impact than 5 rushed ones sent in desperation. When a woman sees that you're not trying to fill every gap in the conversation with words, she sees strength. She sees that you're someone who's comfortable in your own skin, whether she's replying or not. Giving space also allows attraction to grow. Women, just like men, need room to feel. When you're not constantly trying to steer the conversation, she has the chance to miss you, and missing someone is a vital part of building desire. If you never give her the chance to wonder where you are or what you're up to, you're robbing her of the emotional tension that makes connection exciting. That little mystery, the what's he doing thought that crosses her mind can't exist if your name pops up on her phone every hour. Furthermore, confidence is not measured by how much you say, but by how much you can hold back without losing your cool. A secure man doesn't need to update her about every moment of his day, nor does he feel slighted if she takes time to respond. He lives a full life outside of his phone, and she feels that. It makes him magnetic, because when she does hear from him, it feels intentional, not habitual. In the world of texting, less is often more. Space creates clarity. It shows you're not chasing but inviting. It reflects self-worth, discipline, and emotional balance. And when you communicate from that place, you don't just attract attention, you earn respect. Confidence isn't loud. It's calm, steady, and unbothered. And nothing speaks louder than a man who can pause, stay silent, and still hold presence. Purposeful pauses in texting signal strength and mystery. In a world where people are glued to their phones, constantly refreshing messages and replying within seconds, taking your time to respond can be a powerful statement. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about communicating that your world doesn't revolve around someone else's keyboard. It shows you're not desperate for attention and that you don't need constant interaction to feel validated. That kind of self-assured energy is rare, and that's exactly why it stands out. When you pause before replying, you create space, and in that space, curiosity is born. She starts wondering where you are, what you're doing, and why you haven't responded yet. Not in a panicked or annoyed way, but in a curious, intrigued way. It builds tension, and tension is what fuels attraction. You don't have to be available 24/7 to show interest. In fact, always being instantly available can make your presence feel less valuable. When someone knows you'll always respond the moment they type, your messages lose their impact. But when your replies are thoughtful, timely, and a little bit unpredictable, they begin to carry weight. It's also important to understand what a pause represents on an emotional level. It tells her that you have priorities, that you're a man of purpose, focused on your goals, your passions, and your responsibilities. It says that while you enjoy the connection, you don't need to cling to it to feel whole. That's attractive, that's powerful, and it's something women pick up on without you ever having to say it directly. The pause becomes a message in itself. I'm here, but I'm not chasing. I'm interested, but I'm not needy. I'll reply, but not out of fear, only from intention. Some men worry that waiting too long to reply will make her lose interest, but the truth is, if a connection is genuine, space won't ruin it, it'll reinforce it. What ruins attraction faster is insecurity disguised as overcommunication. Rapid-fire messages, nervous check-ins, or endless updates often signal anxiety, not confidence. When you respond with ease rather than urgency, it feels different. It feels grounded. It gives her something to lean into rather than something that overwhelms her. Mystery isn't about withholding, it's about restraint. You don't need to share every detail of your day to stay on her mind. Sometimes the strongest message is the one you don't send right away. When you take a purposeful pause, you allow space for her to feel something, whether that's anticipation, excitement, or curiosity. And that emotional reaction is what makes her keep thinking about you. She starts to feel that there's more to you than what she sees on the surface, that there's depth, patience, and control. These are qualities that naturally draw others in because they speak of a man who knows himself and doesn't need to prove it constantly. A man with a purpose is naturally more attractive. It's not just about what he does, but the energy he carries while doing it. Purpose gives a man direction, and direction creates clarity. When a man knows where he's going in life, whether it's building a career, mastering a craft, creating something meaningful, or simply becoming the best version of himself, he carries a sense of focus that can be felt even in silence. That inner drive speaks louder than any pickup line or polished look. It's magnetic because it shows he's living for something greater than just attention or validation. Women are naturally drawn to men who have a vision. There's a reason why leaders, creators, and even quiet men with a strong mission are so compelling. It's not just status or success, it's the intensity and purpose they bring into a room. A purposeful man isn't easily shaken. He doesn't base his identity on how fast someone replies to his texts or whether they like him instantly. He's grounded in his values, and that emotional stability feels safe, exciting, and rare. When a man is on his path, his energy becomes contagious. People want to be around that level of commitment and passion. Purpose also creates independence, and independence is deeply attractive. A man with goals doesn't need constant interaction to feel fulfilled. He's busy building, creating, evolving. He's not ignoring anyone. He's simply focused. And that focus becomes part of his charm. When he does show up, whether in person or in conversation, it feels intentional. He's not passing time, he's choosing to give time. That difference is subtle but powerful. It shows that he values others, but he doesn't depend on them to define him. There's also something incredibly masculine about purpose. It's rooted in the idea of forward motion, making progress, facing challenges, and not being afraid to fail in the pursuit of something meaningful. That kind of energy creates emotional security. It shows that even in difficult moments, he won't fall apart. He'll adapt, recalibrate, and keep moving forward. And in a relationship, that kind of man becomes a rock. Someone who can be counted on, someone who inspires, not just entertains. Even in texting and casual communication, purpose shows itself. A man with direction doesn't send aimless messages just to fill space. He communicates with intent. His words reflect that he's present, but not wandering. And that intentionality makes every message feel different, more deliberate, more grounded. It doesn't matter if he's funny, deep, or playful. What matters is that his energy feels directed, not distracted. And ultimately, purpose makes a man glow differently. It sets the tone for how he speaks, how he carries himself, and how he connects. It's not about perfection or being rich and powerful. It's about being anchored in something that matters. And that kind of man isn't just attractive, he's unforgettable. Connection through texting comes from energy and presence, not perfection. It's not about crafting the perfect sentence or having flawless grammar. It's about the emotional tone that flows through your words. People don't remember punctuation. They remember how a message made them feel. When a man shows up with genuine presence, even a simple hey feels different. It carries warmth, intention, and awareness. That's what creates connection. Not robotic politeness, but real energy that feels alive and in the moment. Trying to be perfect in every text often leads to overthinking. You hesitate, you over-edit, you lose the natural flow of the conversation, and in trying to sound polished, you end up sounding distant. But when you're present, you're not performing, you're expressing. You're engaging with curiosity and confidence. You're responding in real time, not from a script. That rawness, that honesty is what makes people lean in. It feels real, it feels human. Presence in texting means you're actually there. You're not distracted or half-hearted or not just replying to get it over with. You're paying attention, not just to what she says, but how she says it. You pick up on little jokes, subtle emotions, or playful hints. And when you respond to those things, it shows you're tuned in. That kind of emotional awareness is rare. It shows that your attention is intentional, not automated. That's what makes someone feel seen and valued, even through a screen. Energy is the unseen ingredient behind every message. If your energy is low, anxious, or trying too hard to impress, it comes through. Even if the words are right, the vibe feels off. But if your energy is relaxed, warm, and open, it instantly shifts the dynamic. You don't have to force attraction, you let it unfold. You're not rushing to prove yourself, you're enjoying the moment. And that kind of presence makes people want to stay in the conversation longer. It's not about saying more, it's about saying it with intention. The truth is, people are starved for real connection. Most texts people receive are empty, shallow, or transactional. But when you bring presence into your words, your messages feel like a breath of fresh air. You create a space where someone can laugh, open up, or feel something real. And it's not about how clever or smooth you sound. It's about how grounded and authentic you are. You don't need to be a master of words to create chemistry. You just need to be real. When you're truly present, your personality comes through effortlessly. You're not hiding behind a screen. You're using it to bridge the distance. That's when texting turns into something more than just conversation. It becomes chemistry. And that's where the real magic begins. Not in perfection, but in presence. Here's a powerful and emotionally resonant ending you can use for your speech. 3 texting secrets women can't resist, in the Rabecca style: confident, warm, and a bit intimate. So remember this, it's not about sending the perfect message or using clever lines. It's about the feeling behind your words. When you text with confidence, when you're playful instead of predictable, and when you give space instead of chasing, you create something deeper. You make her feel something she doesn't feel with just anyone. Because at the end of the day, it's not the words that make her heart race. It's you. The man behind the message. Show up with real energy, speak from a place of presence, and let her feel your purpose. That's the kind of connection she won't be able to resist and won't easily forget. Not the one trying to impress her, but the one who already knows his worth.